Can you outline, Mr. Wrack, what will this provide then for my listeners who are workers in this package? Good morning.
Good morning, Nick. I think what the New Deal for Workers is about is looking at the world of work. And if you think about how much time in your life people spend at work, then it's a hugely important part of life. And what we're saying is that work shouldn't be a world of low pay, insecurity, and exploitation. It should be well paid, secure, and rewarding. And that's what the whole debate is around. So it's about tackling exploitation, it's about tackling things like fire and rehire, where employers can just sack people and then take them back on worse conditions, which people will remember from the P&O incident, or 0 hours contracts, or lack of maternity pay, or poor coverage in relation to health and safety at work. So all of those things. And obviously for trade unions, we think that the best way for having secure and good work is to be able to join a trade union. So stopping employers from preventing people from joining trade unions or from having those trade unions recognised. In a trade unionised workplace, you are more likely to have better pay, better safety, better pensions, and so on. So all those things the unions have been discussing in this process, and we think it's a massive vote winner. When it's been tested on the doorstep, it's very popular with people. People understand.
How popular is it with employers, Mr. Wrack?
Well, there will need to be a debate with employers, no doubt. But
I'm reading some of the ideas. The ability to, the right to switch off, higher sick pay, staff get more protection against dismissal from day one. If Labour are trying to sell itself to the boss class, that's make it that easy, does it, Mr. Wrack?
Well, let's take the question of the right to switch off. That simply means that if you're employed for whatever, 35 or 40 hours a week, that actually your employer should not be able to be emailing you at the weekend to demand that you do work unpaid, and so you should be able to spend time with your family. It's a perfectly reasonable, and actually before emails and so on, it would have been what most people did. It's only the world of electronic communication that has altered that. So it's those sorts of things. The sick pay, yes, there are huge discrepancies between good quality sick pay and poor or no sick pay, and we're saying that it should be more fair and more equal. And as I say, and actually it will improve productivity, it will improve the functioning of people in the workplace, and it will make work a better place to be for millions upon millions.
Why will it improve productivity if people have the right to switch off?
Well, if you think about it, Nick, if people are, for example, becoming ill and worrying about whether they can...
I've had phone calls all my life for 45 years, never made me
ill. Yes, but you're in a particular probably quite privileged area of employment, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm very lucky, man.
That's not the same as somebody being harassed by their supervisor.
So timing is all. When do you imagine, and I'm sure you're campaigning for and looking forward to Labour getting the opportunity to become the next government, has Sir Keir or any of the other major party leaders, Labour leaders, told you when this will come in?
Well, we're very clear that this needs to be done very quickly. It needs to be one of the top priorities of a new government.
So first 100 days?
They're saying that within the first 100 days they should start that process. Yeah, clearly there'll be all sorts of legislative processes to follow, and that's the next stage of this.
But that's the indication that you picked up yesterday, Matt. Is that right?
That's already been said, and I think that's been made clear from the leader.
Okay, before I let you go, can we talk a little bit about Sir Keir and the Labour Party more generally? The arrival last week of Natalie Elphicke, the former Conservative MP down in Dover and Deal in Kent. There is a considerable amount of concern being expressed, and I think you're one of those parties. Your reaction to that, the arrival?
Yeah, look, it is a different issue from the previous one, but we have expressed our concern about Natalie Elphicke.
And what are those concerns, Matt?
Well, I don't think that Natalie Elphicke has changed her politics. I think she remains a right-wing, anti-worker, anti-union politician. She's simply jumped ship, frankly, because of the Tories. The Tory ship is sinking, and she's left it. She, in particular, on the question of workers' rights. She has supported all
Yes.
the anti-worker legislation that's come in, including, in our case, explicitly attacking firefighters who have taken industrial action in the past. So we're going to stand up for ourselves, and we've written to Keir Starmer to express that concern.
And was this touched on yesterday?
No, not in that meeting.
Not in that meeting. All right. Matt, thanks for your time. Matt Wrack is General Secretary of the FBU, Fire Brigades Union. He was at that meeting yesterday, 13 after 7. Let's bring into the conversation Annabel Denham, who's Deputy Comment Editor at the Telegraph, and joining me now. Put to you a question I put to Mr Wrack. If Labour's trying to sell itself, and I think it is, to the boss class, how does this sit with that? Annabel, morning.
Good morning. Well, Labour has obviously been on a charm offensive with businesses in Britain, trying to convince them that they are indeed the party of business. But that's always been very difficult to reconcile with this new deal for worker, which will impose yet more burdens, yet more red tape on companies that are already drowning beneath it. One of the problems with the new deal for workers is that it's ultimately unnecessary. We've seen a massive increase in employment legislation over the 14 years of Conservative government. The idea that workers need a new deal, a once in a generation boost to their rights is ridiculous. We have seen this massive increase, and if anything, we need to be moving in the opposite direction. A problem is that these sorts of regulations come with unintended consequences, which trades unions and indeed the Labour Party don't seem to be considering. It can mean fewer employment opportunities for people, particularly young people, as they're entering the market. I suspect that it's contributing to our stagnant productivity for reasons that you mentioned, but also the fact that companies are having to hire armies of HR staff,
Yes.
people who could be put to more productive use elsewhere in the company, focusing on the bottom line or indeed in the wider economy. I think, a problem that we have is that a lot of this narrative feeds the idea that companies are unscrupulous and that they're exploiting workers, when the overwhelming majority, are small businesses in Britain. They're trying to get off the ground. They're trying to comply with burdensome regulations, and their objective is not to trample on the backs of their staff. Far from it. And we need to remember that we do need these companies to keep our economy functioning. So I think there are all sorts of problems just with the idea of this deal, and that's before you get to the specifics of it, where there are many inconsistencies.